Hey folks, welcome back to Skyward Sword. We are here in the Lanayru Mining Facility. It's the third dungeon, and we're gonna have some fun in here. It's a desert dungeon, which means all the sand that you've come to know and love, as well as those time manipulation gimmicks that we were introduced to recently. Also switches, lots of switches. Now personally, I have a lot of trouble with desert areas, mostly because they are very brown. And as anyone who hates mainstream gaming nowadays will tell you, brown is very boring visually. So basically any desert dungeon, this one included, no matter how interesting it is, on a conceptual and puzzle level, tends to get me a little bored just because brown. And this dungeon does an okay job of alleviating that issue through certain mechanics. But overall, I may lose some enthusiasm. But not now. Now I'm gonna be super excited. I'm gonna be so excited you don't even know. Anyway, this entry little room, it's not even a hub room, it's just like an entry room of sorts. We got plenty of sarcophagi things on the walls. Enemies, sand, scare beetles, or scorpions, or whatever they are. Yeah, they're not scare beetles, I don't know why I said that. But yeah, I hope you like those scorpions, because you're gonna see a lot of scorpions. They're kind of like keys in that they are small enemies that pose absolutely no threat. Except they actually won't even hurt you if they latch onto you, unless you don't shake them off for quite a while. So, you're kind of foolish if they cause any sort of negative repercussions on your well-being. Anyway, purpose of this room is to get to each of the switches on either side of the door, pull them, and open up the door. Not too bad. And now we have another very similar room. And by very similar, I mean a rectangular room of about the same size. Anyway, we got the return of these enemies. You remember they were a little more like dangerous or built up for in the first dungeon. There's like one of them, and it was kind of tricky. But now they expect you to deal with them with relative ease. So be sure to do that. Anyway, this I suppose is something of a hub room, although it's really just kind of a place to do a loop around. Our eventual goal is to get to the very far end of this room that I'm entering right here, right now. We got all the way on the other end there is actually the boss room. But we'll have to do all sorts of little side paths and manipulation and fun stuff like that in order to actually get over there. And to be honest, I don't know if my path through this dungeon is the most efficient path possible. I think it's pretty good, but I'm pretty sure there are ways that it could be done better. Oh, by the way, keys can electrify themselves now, just so you know. Like, as if the fire keys weren't annoying enough. Anyway, coming in here, grab a small key. Because that is what we will be using to enter one of the locked doors in the previous room. Oh no, Link, why'd you do that? Shouldn't fall off things. Have I mentioned that you don't take damage from falling off bottomless pits in this game? Kinda takes away any reason to fear it. Like, I'm okay with negative reinforcement to an extent. I feel like taking off half a heart or something would be perfectly fair. But no damage whatsoever. Anyway, one of these is bolted shut, you can see there. We'll have to do a puzzle to open that. And the other can open up with the key. And now, a lot of the set pieces you'll find in this dungeon are basically conveyor belts, assembly lines of sorts, for the various things involved in the mining facility and its actions. So I friggin' hate those dudes, the flying pufferfish things. You can't actually slash them and it'll be alright. But they can cause you bodily harm, and that would not be pleasant. Get the rupee. And a lot of the time in this dungeon, as you saw in that big room before and there, right there, you will have a ladder that is blocked by a box that you can't do anything about unless you go around and destroy or move or something. So, yeah, it's a kind of a cheap way to get a puzzle, I think. So, I mean, how many times have we actually had Mr. Bug carry a bomb to do something? A lot. And they're doing it a lot, and gosh darn it. This, however, is interesting, because you gotta hold down the switch, and that will open up the cage, and you have to keep it held down and find a way to hit it from afar, which means Mr. Bug. And now here we have the kind of cool part of the dungeon. I mean, a lot of people think this is pretty fucking rad, but I think it's okay. The time gimmick once again returns, and we get a completely different like color scheme and everything, so it's less brown. I still don't think it's that visually interesting. I mean, brown has been replaced by kind of a bluish gray. But yeah, there will be plenty of times when we go back in time, and the mining equipment will reactivate. So like these conveyor belts will reactivate, the BMOS will reactivate, and overall it can be a fair bit more dangerous. Anyway, we'll be making our way over there, hopefully. So now these conveyor belts are neat. If you just run the normal speed, I think you'll make absolutely zero positive or negative progress. So you have to sprint to get to the other side, which you might assume. But I think it is one of those instances where the stamina thing actually comes into play pretty well, because you gotta aim and grab the stamina fruit, and avoid the spiked thingamadoobs. 20 rupees, yay. Do you guys think I'll have more or less, more or fewer rupees by the end of this section of the game than I did at the end of the volcano section? Just out of curiosity. I say this because I don't know at the moment, I don't remember. Yeah, dodge them like that. I feel like they could have made a few more devious patterns for those. You know, ramp up the difficulty as the dungeon goes on. But they more or less stay the same. It's a cool concept, though. Anyway, open up that door. Running with conveyor belts is awesome. It's like running down a hill. And now we're back in the present, and it's all drab and gray and beige coat and... What is this neat kind of arrangement? We got two ways to navigate. We got a maze on the bottom with a couple spikes there to impede your progress. And we also have blocks up on top that allow us to move around, jump around. And essentially it's two mazes in one, since each one is obstructed in different ways. Anyway, you see we got these pufferfish things. You can use those to blow up rock formations that would prevent us from doing cool things. Notice the D-pads on the blocks. Not sure what's up with that. Anywho, a wonderful thing. We've got the item of the dungeon, the gust bellows. This is essentially a vacuum cleaner, and it's so cool. But you may remember a rather similar item from actually the Minish Cap, called, like, I think the Gust Jar or something. basically, you blow wind, you blow air at things. You can get rid of sand, you can knock away small enemies, you can basically make any large enemy stop in its tracks and get flustered at you. And, most importantly, send those guys flying into rocks. It's pretty rad. I really like the gust bellows, personally. I mean, some people thought it was, like, lame or something, but you know what? Those people are lame or something. Oh my god, so many things. Just getting completely overrun with those things, and they didn't do a single bit of damage. See what I'm saying when I say they're not dangerous? They're not dangerous. They're not. They're not at all. So yeah, basically now we have a really good way to take care of those pufferfish. And that alone makes the gust bellows really awesome in my book. Although sometimes it's a little weird getting the aim perfectly right. You can see I was passing over those scorpions and they weren't really falling down until I readjusted a bit. Anyway, I assume that the gust bellows is another piece of robot technology, much like Mr. Bug. I'm a little sad that they didn't make it anthropomorphic like they did Mr. Bug, but it's okay. I forgive them. Anyway, we now, since we pushed that, we can go back into those rooms anytime we want. I don't think there's ever any reason to. I'm avoiding you. And now that we have the gust bellows, we can go back into this hub room. Still not ready to take on the big room. Back into this hub room and figure out the puzzle in order to open the other side path. So hop on down here. You remember that this was blocked off with the bars over the door and all that. And basically, we've got this block. We can dust away the dust. And we can push it onto that switch that we uncover. A lot of the interesting stuff that the gust bellow does is basically uncover secrets or uncover aspects of puzzles. Which, when you look at it kind of objectively, it's, you know, you have to use an item to figure out what the puzzle is. But on the other hand, they hide so many cool things that I'm tempted to forgive them. Ooh, that's a lot of sand. This, I think, actually is one of my favorite rooms in the dungeon, just for what happens a little bit later. Oh god, no. No, everything terrible, get out. No, okay. Yeah, fish are still bitches. So as you can see, this is like some sort of weird, like, gondola system. Clearly that's supposed to attach to something, but it doesn't anymore. And sometimes you just gotta knock them away. Don't even kill them, just knock them away. And there we go, a time shift stone. And that gets rid of everything. I love it. It's kind of like that one room with the power node. But it's just such a drastic shift. It's like, yeah, this is a kind of flat room, and then all the sand goes away, and you realize it's a three-dimensional navigation thing. Anyway, you got those gondola things. Also, by the way, the text on there says gate, in case you were curious. We got gondola things that are powered by wind. We got gates that are opened by blowing wind on pinwheels. Clearly, this mining facility was built on wind power for some reason. Now I gotta wonder, do the robots have built-in wind things? Or are they just weird? I don't know. Anyway, there's an interesting enemy around here somewhere. There he is. Yeah, this floating propeller dude. He will launch missiles at you that you have to parry, and those will get knocked back at him. When you successfully parry, he will send out 2 little propeller drones each of which is taken care of by slashing either horizontally or vertically, and then the process repeats. It's an interesting way to both incorporate timing and hella rupees, timing and proper slashing. So personally, I find the parrying system honestly a bit more engaging than the slash the correct direction system. Kind of like Punch Out with the timing, you know? It's really getting down the pattern. Woohoo. Don't you love this thing? And then all we gotta do is blow the wind over to the side. You know, looking at the color scheme again, I know I earlier complained that it's kind of drab. It kind of really isn't. So I don't really know what I don't like about it. Anyway, I haven't really talked about how to deal with BMOs. Basically slash him horizontally, stab him in the eye. Bombs actually aren't really a good way to get rid of him for once. But generally you will want to get rid of them. Because they shoot lasers at you and that's no good. Get the ribbon. No! They're definitely actually some of the most dangerous enemies, because they can chase you down with their lasers and hit you several times, and I think lasers burn wooden shields, so... 20 rupees from each of these guys still. Jesus. So much. And block pushing. It wouldn't be a dungeon without block pushing. Can I complain about something with block pushing? So in Darksiders, when you're doing a block pushing puzzle, you can move any direction regardless of which side of the block you're on. Here you have to reorient yourself on whichever side of the block you want to push. I realize that it doesn't really make sense that Link would be able to drag it horizontally from that position, but it's just a little added bit of tedium. Anyway, that's a creative puzzle, having the time shift zone on the other side of a gate. By the way, those also say gate. See, that text says gate. Anyway, to open that gate, we need to defeat another new kind of creative enemy. And I think I did a pretty good job designing the visuals of this enemy, since, as you can see, his head, his turbine propeller thingamajig, is identical to the ones used on the gondolas. So you already have that visual cue of knowing what the hell to do. And I hope you like those guys, because we're going to see more of them, and in greater numbers. Dungeon map. I don't think this one's too useful either, because as you can see, it's essentially a linear path, except there will be like little loops, little hooks, little U-shapes, I guess, coming off the sides that link the rooms in other ways. It's such a straightforward dungeon, I really don't feel that the dungeon map helps much. Because you'll never have a room on the left that will eventually spit you out on the right. There's very clearly 3 lanes to the whole thing. But anywho, now that we're on this side of the dungeon, we can go along these secretive paths on the sand. And these paths aren't actually revealed by the dungeon map, I don't think, because if you rewind the video you can see that they were already on the map visually before the new rooms loaded onto the map. But basically, yeah, it's the same idea as in the dungeon or desert proper, with the hidden paths, except here there's no explanation, and it's just how it is. Anyway, that sign says factory, because this is in fact a factory. See what I did there? Factory. Get it? Yeah. But yeah, this whole area actually has a good deal of old ancient Thailand flavor text scattered around. Like, I've mentioned the signs. You saw a gate, you saw a factory, and there's at least one more hanging around that we will get to. Oh no, Link, you're tired. Anyway, I assume you could actually get over this little bit of sand without actually needing to check the map. If you just brute forced it, I feel like the gaps are small enough that it could work. But since you're watching this video, you have no excuse. Unless it's actually faster to bypass everything. I don't understand you speedrun people. Anyway, unfortunately, the gust bellows has no effect on the gel dudes, as you saw. Which I think is unfortunate. I would have loved to see wonderful jello physics of it, like wiggling or being blown to bits and scattered in the wind or something. I don't know. But I'm always looking for an opportunity to harass the gel creatures. Anyway, these little maze segments really remind me of this one bit in Wind Waker, where you're patrolling around, like, I think it's either a jail or a cabana. I honestly don't remember. But there are dead ends. I think it's a jail. There are dead ends, but they're less obvious. And if you go down them, the rats that live in the walls will open up a trapdoor and send you into the ocean. Rats are dicks. Anyway, you remember earlier I mentioned that the gust bellows is often used as a way to reveal the puzzle. And I think this is a pretty clear example of that. This is a spike maze, basically. Except the maze itself is covered by sand. Which I think is a clever idea. Because it makes you be a little bit cautious. You want to check out where you're going before you attempt to move. But I'm pretty sure they actually stick out before you even get close enough to get damaged. So you're not really in danger of taking any damage from the spikes. I mean, it's clever. I like it. I think they're neat. Kind of reminds me of the bit in Majora's Mask, the race with the butler, where a fire maze would emerge as you run, and you have to either memorize or follow the butler like a smart person. I don't know, I like hidden mazes. They're a bit dickish, but I like them. And now we're way on this side of the big room, but we're still not quite to the place where we can go to the boss room. We can, however, finally bring the past into this room, and this allows us a certain mobility. As you can see, there's this minecart, and as it moves along, it will create these platforms for us to walk on. But also, as it moves along, it will reactivate enemies, so we'll need to be crafty. Anyway, there's the boss door. As you can see, there's this like spiky grating on top of it, across it. Basically, that is some sort of barrier that is here in the present, but not the past. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it only appears in the sand area. But basically, we will need to find a way to shift that to the past and get the boss key. Anyway, let's deal with this enemy. Luckily, we don't need to worry too much about that thing moving along without us, since the gate there is conveniently blocking it from moving any faster until we allow it to go. And yeah, once you get this guy, understand what he's doing, he's generally pretty easy. The timing for the parry is pretty darn easy, and look at all these rupees. So many of them fall down. No, I want the... No! So many rupees, but so many pits. Anyway, open up this gate. Just this is what you want to do. Trust me, because it's the rail and it needs to go along the rail. And I love this section actually, because you can see BMOS on the sides. You don't really have a good way of taking care of them. You can, if you're crafty, use the Skyward Strike to slash them. But since that takes so long to charge, they will often shoot you with lasers before you can do anything about them. So really your best option is to hide behind the minecart and move along with it. Which I think is really clever. I like it. So you can see we got 2 over there. And unfortunately, neither of your movement speeds really exactly corresponds to the speed of the minecart. So you can't just walk or run or sprint alongside it. Anyway, those switches on the ends of rails will generally just pull it all the way. Saves you a little bit of time. Convenient. Up there's a box preventing us from doing cool things. How dare it? Boxes. And again we got BMOS, but this time, as you can see, there's actually a door being guarded by that BMOS. And we want to enter that door. Maybe you could see it if it was a good angle, but no. But yeah, it is... First off, it's barred, and second off, it's guarded. So, why don't we try to take care of that? BMOS? Maybe, possibly? No? Okay. I think they expect you to take care of the BMOS, but I think I want it to be pro and just run past it or something. But yeah, but the bars on the door are opened up by blowing on that pinwheel there. So you gotta be timely, you gotta be in a good position, blow on it as quickly as possible, and hopefully don't open the door all the way before time catches up with you and you fall into the infinite abyss. It's a metaphor for death, you see. Old age, all that good stuff. Anyway, deactivate and then reactivate it to start moving the other way. Not incredibly smooth, I'm not entirely sure. It seems like one extra step than one more than it needs to be. But oh well. Anyway, since we activated the pinwheel in the past, that caused the future door to open. So, yeah, temporal mechanics. Anywho, let's sneak past this BMOS, and I'll see you guys next time for the rest of the dungeon.